Hey, I'm Corey Wamsley, and today we're going to be talking about how you can take a podcast that you already have and turn it into a book. So, this isn't going to be for every single person out there who's thinking about a book. This is if you have a podcast. If you have a podcast that's maybe a year, 2 years, or beyond that old, then something like this could really work well for you because I know that we're always trying to find other ways that we can use this content that we have already created. So something like this is going to be a creative way that you can take what you've made and turn it into something else that you can also make. So first, you have to think about whether you are the star or you have guests. And there's two different ways of doing that. If you are the star of your show, then you have a little more flexibility. If you have guests, you need to make sure that you have contracts with them, getting their permission to share in your book. You don't want to get into anything messy with not getting permission from people. And also, when I go to fill out the copyright information at the end, once I've published a book, there's always a question about like if there's anything else. If they are reviewing your book and they see that there are other people who have contributed, but you haven't acknowledged them, then you need to have a discussion with the person at the copyright office about why you didn't acknowledgement them, or if you have a contract with them saying that it's okay for you to publish their stuff. So make sure you cover that. When you are looking at this, always with every single book that you're doing, audience and purpose. You have to know who you are actually writing the book for, and you have to know why. Why are they going to read the book? What are they going to get out of it? What is it that you want to do with those podcast episodes that's going to get people back to your brand? How can you get people from the book to the brand, from the book to the podcast, all of those things? Remember, everything that you do in your business needs to be working together. So all of those pieces need to be cohesive. Typically, your purpose is going to be the same for your audience, or sorry, for your podcast, for your book, and for your business. So make sure that everything works together, because if you have a podcast for one audience and the book is for another audience, it's going to be a little bit harder to actually get people interested in all of it. That being said, when you're going through all of your content, decide what is going to make sense for the purpose of the book. You're going to have some episodes that just don't make sense. You're going to have some episodes that aren't your favorites. You're going to have some episodes where you think that guest is not going to give me permission. Just mark those off. Don't worry about it. You have lots of content, remember? Something else that you have to consider, though, is that you can't just take a transcript from your podcast and turn that into the book. That's really not ethical, because usually podcasts are free, so anybody can hear you talking, but the book is a paid product. So unless you're going to be giving the book out for free, it doesn't make sense for you to have just the transcripts in there. There needs to be some golden nugget that people are going to get in addition to the wisdom shared on the podcasts. And that can be, I expanded on these stories. I gave my podcast guests an opportunity to share more about their good stuff. Whatever it is that you decide, make sure that you have taken the transcripts and then expanded. You don't have to take the entire transcript. You can take just snippets. It can be, here's some golden nuggets from the podcast. And then I ask them to share some more. How did you figure these things out? What are some stories surrounding these? Those are going to be different ways that you can get more people back to that podcast, because they are, if they've watched the podcast, and they come over and read the book. If they're reading the book first, then you want to get them back to the podcast by putting in things like bit links or QR codes to get them back over there. And of course, anytime you're writing a book, you want to make sure you get people on your email list. So if you want to have some other download, like, hey, here's the book, I'm going to also give you these 3 bonus hours of talks with these people, and they're giving all this extra wisdom, but that's something you don't usually give out. Yeah, okay, take them back to the email list, have them sign up for that, and then you give them the extra episodes, for example. There are lots and lots of things you can do with that. So again, think about who you're talking to, what you want to do with it, figure out how you're going to take them on that journey through the book. Make sure you have permission from people to be able to share their stories in the book. And that should get you a pretty long way toward having a good manuscript. And, this is something that you can easily do even like per season with your show. You could take all of those episodes and say, here's some nuggets from all of them. Here's some things that I'm adding to all of them. Boom, you've got a book. Loads of different ways you can do it. So be creative. Think about how you can get beyond what you've shared in the podcast. And it's going to be something interesting for people to come in and say, oh, you've got this podcast, but you also have this book, and they work together. I definitely want to hear more. I want to see more. I want to work with you. So just some interesting ideas on how you can turn your podcast into a book. Of course, if you're open to a discussion on this, I would love to hear about it. Let me know about your podcast. Tell me what you have in mind and what you want to do with it, because I love being the person that can sit down and look at all the different things and say, this, not this, let's try it this way, and let's create a book together. Absolutely reach out to me. I'm at auroracorialispublishing.com. And again, I'm Cori Wamsley. I don't think I introduced myself. CEO of Aurora Coriolis Publishing, author of 10 books, and a writing coach. Thank you for joining me.